Welcome back, everyone. Today's Monday, August 13th, 2018. I would just want to start this video off by saying thanks to all the people that commented on the last video. Got a lot of good comments. In particular, what I had asked for in that video was for people who were around maybe in 2013 or prior to that, or just even a few years, what their experiences were with the market, how they were feeling, how they viewed everyone around them to be feeling, and how it compares to now, how it compares to the market today. And yeah, I read every comment. I really appreciate all the people that did comment. There were a lot of names that I've never seen before in the comments, so a lot of people did kind of just share their opinions, and I thought that was really cool. So I appreciate that. I definitely value that. I wasn't around back in 2011, 2012, 2013. So, you know, I really do value the viewpoints, the perspectives, the opinions, and how people, especially those people that are still sticking around. You know, they've been in the market, or at least involved with cryptocurrency for years now, 4+ years. So I think that's really cool. And I had another thing, I guess, just to talk about in this video before we get into the video, to comment about. So I guess what I want to ask you guys viewing to leave a comment about is I want to start off by saying, 70-80% of the people that were really hype on crypto back in January aren't around, in the sense, they might still be invested, but they're not really actively daily following cryptocurrency. And I say roughly like 70 or 80%. And that's just based on, a few analytic type things, but I'm sure it might even be less. It could be more. I'm not sure. But I think it goes without saying there are less people that are actively participating and actively following the market on a daily basis. And that's not a bad thing either. I'm not trying to frame that as if it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that there are people that obviously need to take a few days off here and there from cryptocurrency. But I'm curious, the comment I want to ask you guys watching is, for the people that do stick around daily and put in time daily into cryptocurrency, what is your reasoning for that? Is it because you have a lot of money invested and you hope to just see it come back soon, and you're kind of just waiting and curious to get some information on when you think it might come back? Is it because you're genuinely just trying to follow the technology and trends and see how people are feeling? Whatever it is, yeah, feel free to leave a comment. I'm curious about that too, because a large portion of people have left the space temporarily. I'm sure they're most likely still invested, but they just maybe don't spend every day watching a video or reading an article or something like that. But I'm just curious, for the people that do spend every day sticking around, what is your reasoning for that? But yeah, before we get into this video, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. So there are a lot of cool articles actually today. I took 2 days off, so I guess there was some time for me to build up material, but I believe all of this was actually today or last night. So before we get into that though, market cap, a little over 200, Bitcoin dominance is at 52%, insane. Notably, Ethereum is under 300 US dollars. It's down 8% in the last 24 hours. What I think is interesting about this too, if you look historically on the global market cap, like year by year, like exactly a year ago in 2017, and then another 365 days back in 2016, these top 10s are usually very different. We usually see Bitcoin, we do see Litecoin in the top 10, but for the most part, EOS was not in the top 10 in the past, Cardano as well. So a lot of these change, and I'm curious, this seems to be one of those periods where shaping the top 10 and beyond the top 10 as well. But particularly in the top 10, people are most interested in a lot of the time. So I'm curious which of these coins might get shaken out. And if we look at the market caps, you can see there's quite a disturbance, right? We have XRP only $2 billion in overall market cap ahead of Bitcoin Cash, which is crazy. We also have EOS and Stellar insanely close. Stellar is essentially about to pass EOS, which is crazy. As you all know, or you might not know, I really do like Stellar. I've been talking about it for a few months, so I'm happy to see Stellar doing well. I think it's going to be in the top 10, top 5 for sure going forward. But it's just nuts to see some of these coins and how they're changing, how they're really getting shaken out. Back in 2017, IOTA was much higher than it is now. And yeah, this definitely seems to be a period of change in terms of who's going to be the market leader. And so it's weird to see. I'm not trying to spread any hate to the XRP community at all, because I think for what they're doing, obviously you got to respect that community, in my opinion. Not sure if everyone on the channel agrees, but I think you should. And I'm even trying to lean more toward not hating on Bitcoin Cash as much. As far as the XRP community, I've been trying to keep a little bit of tabs on it, and I guess the community is obviously frustrated that XRP is now under 30 cents. Its market cap seems to be dwindling. That's not to say it won't come back, but I'm just curious what you guys think about that. I'm sure I'll get a lot of comments saying like XRP is a S coin or something like that, but yeah, first article here, we have a dead coin walking. So Bitconnect is set to be delisted from the last crypto exchange that it's on. So rest in peace, Bitconnect. So Bitconnect's BCC token is set to be delisted from the last exchange that it's still being traded. And it's about to become a dead coin over a lack of liquidity. And the token still has a market cap over 6.6 million somehow. Yeah, so I'm sure many of you know about Bitconnect. It was essentially a Ponzi scheme. It died pretty much at the beginning of 2018. I guess a lot of people lost money. There were a lot of prominent crypto community members that in particular talked about Bitconnect, and they all disappeared. And I'm sure they're dealing with lawsuits in regards to this, because apparently it was a scam. So rest in peace, Bitconnect. I'm sure we'll still see it pump somehow, maybe, but with it being delisted from the last crypto exchange that it's on, potentially we won't see that anymore. And I did want to talk about this too. This article has some technical mistakes, as you can see here. Ethereum has the ticker ETC, which is not Ethereum. That's Ethereum Classic. Ethereum's ticker is ETH. But I like the idea overall of this article. So it was posted on Cointelegraph by Stephen O'Neill. Bull or bear, how SEC actions correlate with market prices. So basically what the point of this article is to kind of sum up each event that's related to like kind of the SEC and regulations a little bit, and see how it really affects the price, or how it has so far, just to kind of gauge the influence of these regulatory bodies involved with the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So back in July, a little over a year ago, 2017, the SEC deems DIO tokens to be illegal securities. Back then, in the middle of the very beginning of the bull run, didn't really have too much effect. It says here the reaction was slightly bearish. So the Winklevoss ETF application just about a month ago, the SEC denies this for the second time. Again, the alleged reaction was slightly bearish. It wasn't too big of a shock. Although you can tell the market did, according to the charts at least, it did dip significantly. It was very brief, and it seemed to bounce back right away. And that is not the case then with this month's SEC postponement of the VanEck SolidX ETF request. This was not a denial. It says denies here, but a lot of people were saying this would most likely be postponed, and probably back even possibly into February of 2019. So I think this overall was a pretty big overreaction, but the reaction stated here is strongly bearish, and I think that's evident just based on this downtrend continuing. I guess most likely was influenced by that, unfortunately, even though this was something that I guess really shouldn't have come as too much of a surprise. So for everyone that knows, the VanEck SolidX ETF application was submitted in June and was generally considered to be the most promising crypto-backed ETF. But yeah, the fact that it's postponed really doesn't mean anything. It just means that it's not accepted right now, or it doesn't, it's not going through right now. That doesn't mean it won't be. A lot of people have come out and said they think this is good because it gives them some time to really deliberate and try and come up with a good option or decision on this. So I personally don't think this is very bearish. It was strongly bearish in terms of the price, or at least it seemed to be correlated. But yeah, again, not a bad thing at all. A lot of people were saying this would be postponed, and it has been. And the SEC CFTC held a joint meeting where they recognized cryptocurrency's importance back in February. This was a really good hearing. This was considered strongly bullish. I believe at the time it actually did help the price along, but we ended up, we were at the very beginning of this bear market, so we ended up completely falling after this. But at the time being, this was really good news and really exciting for the community, and it still is. It's set the tone for positivity, I think, in the market. Even though there's a surprising lack of it just based on price. The only bad thing, just as a side note, the only bad thing in cryptocurrency right now is the price. Everything else is going extremely well. So if the price would go up, there's only things to be positive about. And then back about 2 months ago, the SEC rules that Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities, and this was seen as slightly bullish only. I think the big thing for a lot of people in the crypto community is XRP being seen as a security. I know the community's kind of been struggling with that idea for a while, but there are people that have also come out in the community and said, even if it does get seen as a security, it's not that big of a deal. Whatever the case, though, Bitcoin and Ethereum were considered not securities, so that was pretty cool. Again, did not really affect the price that much, but yeah, I think this has really been the overlapping idea for the past 8 months is really the SEC and regulatory bodies getting involved with cryptocurrency. And I think this article does a good job, if anything, of just kind of listing the different decisions and the different outcomes, and also kind of posting or gauging the alleged reaction of how people or how the market reacted to these news items. And I think by far, there's more here, so I'll post this if you want to just read through it. But I think by far the biggest overreaction, a lot of people are saying this too, the SEC denying the VanEck SolidX ETF request. This was not bad news. It wasn't the news ideally everyone would hope for, but it was also the most expected news. We're not going to come out at the beginning of August, get a VanEck SolidX ETF request approved. All of a sudden, the market goes to $50,000 per Bitcoin. That was really never going to happen. And I don't think anyone, well, maybe some people did think that was going to happen. It's very possible Bitcoin will go to $50,000 if an ETF would get approved, potentially. Probably not immediately, that's for sure. But, these things take time. And just because they're taking more time to come to a decision is not necessarily bad at all. Could be good for the long run. So yeah, just be patient, I guess, is all I could say. But yeah, thanks for coming by. You can see the market kind of doing its thing. Another thing I did want to add as well, what are you guys' thoughts on, I guess, traditional finance markets? For example, the Dow Jones, kind of following a very, very similar pattern to cryptocurrency, right? Or vice versa, crypto following that. Do you guys think these markets are becoming more entangled with each other, more related? Let me know what you think about this. I think it's interesting, and I think as time goes on, they might more and more become related with each other or become entangled.